Hello and welcome to Greetingstar. Thank you for stopping by today. So I'm going to be making a card today. I'm also going to decorate the envelope and the inside of the card, which you can see in these images here. Now I made this project using supplies from the April 2021 Card Kit of the Month subscription from Spellbinders. And you can see here that this cute little envelope comes with the dies that come in the kit, and also that stamp set that you just saw there, and all of these papers come in the kit. So I'm going to be using this as the front panel for my card, and my card is an A2 size. That's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I was thinking of maybe using these puffy stickers because that would fit, that hello would fit on that really cute. But also you could stamp some greetings as well, which you can see here on this stamp set that comes in the kit. So everything that I'm making today came in the kit except for these dies. These are my favorite things, Die-namics. They're the pierced rectangle stacks, and I got them a long time ago. I don't know if they're still available or not, but if I can find them, I will link them down below. So first I'm going to trim this down, but I want to make sure the orientation is the way I want it on my card. So I put it up to the card base to check first. And then I cut this out with my die cutting machine, and I'm going to adhere the pattern paper to the front of my card. And then we'll get started assembling the rest of it. Now, one of the things I was trying to go for when I had this card in mind, I wanted to create a frame for the envelope, but I actually wanted the frame to be sort of really thin, like a really thin, maybe like a bead of glue, just very thin and barely noticeable. I thought that would be very dainty and elegant for those beautiful little flowers, but I didn't have any dies that would do that, so I had to settle for this thicker frame. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go hunt for some dies that might be real thin. I do have an electronic cutting machine, but I just didn't think that I could cut a line thin enough and be able to get it off of the sticky paper. So back to the card making. This is the envelope that you get when you cut it out the die, and you can see it creates a dimensional envelope, but you can choose to create a flat one if you just fold on the line that's closest to the base there, and then glue it down to that other piece there. Now, one of the things too is this envelope is a faux envelope. You can't make a real envelope out of the die cuts, but you can extend that other piece, the front of the envelope, if you go ahead and use that technique where you just cut off, you leave the die hanging off the edge, so that way it doesn't cut all the way. And you can do that with your die cutting machine and your plates. Just leave it hanging off the cutting plate, and then put it back in and cut the other way, so that way you know, it can extend. I'll link to a video that will show you that procedure, or leave it down in the description below, because I might have to make one. I don't know if I've done that before in any of my videos. But anyway, so I'm going to stamp a greeting here on this cute little piece of paper here. I think it's adorable. It's a die cut shape that comes in the kit, and I'm just trying to decide which orientation I want the greeting to be. And then I'm also deciding whether I want to use a colored ink or the black ink. So I've got this Memento Dewdrop ink in Rosebud, and I'm going to test that out on a piece of notepad paper, a 4x6 notepad paper, and I'm also going to test the black out that you can see here. And I'll trim that down so I can set that on that little piece of paper and check it out. And I do like the black, but I did decide to go with a Rosebud, so it's up to you. Whichever one you choose, or whichever one looks better to your eye, that's what you should use. And I'm just going to go ahead and use this Rosebud that you can see. But first I need to clean this off, so I'm just using that pad of paper there. And then I'm going to bring in my chamois. Now that's an actual chamois that I, you know, originally purchased for my vehicle to dry it off after a car wash. And I know that they make them for card makers too. Lawn Fawn, I think, does. It's like a greenish, turquoise-ish or tealish color. So I'll link to that one down below. And now these are the die cuts also that you can cut in that come in the kit. Those dies come in the kit. So I just spent an afternoon cutting out all kinds of flowers and stuff from those dies. And the thing is about it that I really like is that when you do that, since it came in the kit, also the cardstock that came in the kit I used. So everything, all these flowers and leaves and florals, all came from the cardstock that comes in the kit. So I just spent an afternoon doing that, and that little container that I keep it in is from the Dollar Tree, that little pink container with the plastic lid. And what I like to do is I have where my die cutting machine is, I like to go ahead and stick them by my die cutting machine. They have a magnet on the back of them, so I just took some adhesive magnetic and put it next to my table, and I have a little drawers next to my desk, and so I just stick it there, and it's always there, and I can always, fill that with all my die cut shapes and be ready to use them when I want to. So now what I'm doing with these flowers is I've arranged them in kind of a triangle. So I put the first 3 large ones down first. So that blue one goes at the top, and then the dark blue and the yellow goes on the sides. That creates kind of a triangle. And then I'll fill in the gaps and the spaces with the smaller flowers. So at first I'm going to put the leaves down. So that's my design here, just to do that triangle there. And that might help you when you're arranging flowers too, is to do kind of like that triangle. But it's up to you. You can do a circle too. It just depends on what you're going for and what you want to achieve with the look. I mean, perhaps you'd like more of a round bouquet, just depending. I know I've done more of a round bouquet in the past too. It's up to you. So I'm just putting down those stems, and the glue does get a bit messy, so I use this adhesive eraser to pick up any extra glue that had dried and looked kind of gloppy on my project there. So now I'm just searching for a flower for the center and trying to decide on what color I want and what size. I do decide to use a bigger one to kind of cover up that gap. It does cover up that leaf that I had put down, so you don't have to do that. And now I'm just sifting through all of these pieces to find those little tiny centers of the flowers, and since I kept everything in that container, they were all there, and I couldn't find another little small center for those larger flowers, so I end up using the bigger one. And at first I didn't like it, but then when you see the finished product, it's kind of nice because it has some variety, and variety is a good thing. When you're looking visually at something, it kind of attracts your eye when everything's not the same. So now I'm going to decorate the inside of the card. So I'm going to use another frame, and I'm just using a push pin there because my glue container got a little bit gloppy there and wouldn't come out. So I'm going to put this down, and then I'm going to get ready to adhere that cute little piece to it. But first I'm going to decorate my envelope. So this is a piece of pattern paper that was left over after I cut out the panel for the front of the card. So this is a good way to use up all of the pattern paper, is to go ahead and decorate the inside of your card and the envelope, and then you will have very little pattern paper left over. And also it's really nice, I think, when your recipient gets everything that's so coordinated together. It just shows them that you went to the extra effort to bless them, and that's kind of a nice thing to do. So I will tell you that I did cut out so many of those flower die cuts that I had to pull this extra purple paper from my from my stash. So you don't get 2 of these purple pieces of paper, you only get 1. So I had to go into my own supplies to grab those. So anyway, I do go ahead and decide that I want to put this greeting on this cute little piece of paper here, and I'm using the Lulu Lavender to match that frame. Now, one of the things here that I did was I wanted to this is a brand new stamp, so I'm just stamping it a couple times on that scratch paper to make sure it stamps well before I put it on the actual page that I want to use. So I'm just stamping it 3 times because I want the greeting to show up. It was a very light color, and that's something you can do with your stamping if you're not aware. You can go ahead and turn one color into 2 or even 3 by double or triple or quadruple stamping an image or a sentiment. So that's a really good tip for you. All right, so now I've just decided that I want to go ahead and add this paper to the inside of that frame so it'll match the outside of the card, sort of bring that inside. So I went ahead and had to trim that down and figure out how to get it to fit inside the frame. Otherwise I would have put it to the back of the frame and just adhered both of them down together. But I didn't do that, so I just improvised and fixed the situation. So now I'm choosing some more flowers. You can never have enough flowers, at least in my opinion. Flowers are beautiful and we love them so much. So I'm going to go ahead and decide whether I want this yellow or whether I want to go ahead and do kind of you know, the alternate for each color, and I kind of like that, so I decided to go ahead and use the pink on the purple and the purple on the pink. I kind of like that. That looks pretty. So there we go. There's my finished card and envelope, and I wanted to show you that it will fit in those envelopes that come in the kit. Even though there's some dimension, you can see now you don't have to make your envelope with dimension. Like I said, you can just fold it on the first crease line and make it flat, so it's entirely up to you. So you wouldn't want to send this through the mail. You'd probably want to, you could, but I would put it in like a bubble mailer or something to protect it. Otherwise, just hand deliver it. But it does fit in the envelope quite nicely. And then I decided to decorate the back of it too. So here's another look at the front of the card and envelope and the inside and back of the envelope. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.